Join us.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
What up? Welcome back to the Necro Zoo. I am Bones. And in this one, we're going to add another figure to my Mcfarland DC Multiverse collection. Now, the collection is still growing. I have tons of figures up on the shelves. I have tons of stuff all over the place here in my office. You just can't see it, but I am pretty much overrun by new figures and stuff that I need to get to. But to start it off, I am gonna take a look at a figure that I've really been looking forward to, and that is the Clayface Megafig from Mcfarland. Now, I've actually been looking forward to taking a closer look at this guy. I did do a little bit of custom accessories for him. Now, he does look pretty icky in the packaging, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. But first, he does come with your standard black DC Multiverse stand. Now, this will not really be needed. I could tell just by taking a look at the figure, but sometimes they do come in useful. He also comes with his data file card. You do have some figure photography on the front, and on the back you do have some information. Now, this is the DC Rebirth version of Clayface, but he does look pretty much like a standard Clayface figure with a lot of cool sculpt work. So let's take a look at him. No accessories, as I said. First impressions, actually a really nice looking Clayface, sculpted out really well. A little bit hefty, but not too much. You could tell there's different types of plastics used here, some softer plastic and then some harder plastic. But just as look wise, he does look very reminiscent of the comic version of Clayface. And he also has a lot of kind of body horror type sculpt work on him with a lot of details, so looks pretty good. Of course, first let's take a look at the head. Great resemblance to your comic or classic Clayface figure. Now, the head really only has the ability to turn left to right, not really up or down too much. Very slight movement there, but the face is sculpted really well, and of course he does have a articulated jaw where you can move it all the way down. He does have another row of teeth in there, and you can actually have them like half opened or closed all the way or wide open, you know, for some character. So that's pretty nice. Let's take a look at the waist. Now, this one's a pretty bulky figure, but he still does have upper torso movement and then lower torso movement. And it is a softer plastic here that gives you a lot more movement. You can move them, you know, left to right, tilting. And then he has a full range of motion at the waist. You can twist him to get him in some cool poses. And of course he does have tons of sculpt work. Lots of like skull faces in there and spikes. So it looks really good. You can also tilt him forward and then tilt him back. Now, if you go too far back, you do expose a little bit of the trunks there, but all in all, a lot of movement for a big figure, which is pretty cool. Let's look at the arm. He does have the kind of butterfly shoulder joint, but there is no bushing, that usual shoulder bushing that goes inside of the Mcfarlands. It is not there, but you still get a lot of movement. You can get a pretty nice T-pose. a little bit hollow there, but that does allow you to move his arms directly in front of his body and get a nice wingspan out there. So all in all, it's good. Now he does have single jointed elbows, but the scope work really does not allow you to move them. He does have an elbow twist, which adds for range of motion. And then you going into the hands. I love the scope work, like this, like piece of like a clay here, like, you know, like a strand, and then the way his hands could move. You know, gives you some good possibilities for posing, but it is pretty limited. But for a big figure like this, it's all good. And of course the arms do have a lot of spikes and skulls and even like appendages in there, which is pretty horrific. Going down to the legs. Now you're not gonna really think there's gonna be a lot of movement here. You do have a knee swivel, you know, one single jointed knee, but you know it's limited. But he can move his hip around, so you know you could split him out, and that does add to the posability. But what's really nice is the white feet allow for a good stance that, you know, lets you stand him without too much problem. And of course all the texturing and scope work in there. At the bottom it does look pretty flat. There's some identifying marks, but not really any scope work. And then moving up the back, more of that scope work where you could see the old remnants of souls that Clayface has taken over, and all the little details and spikes and constant change of texture, which is pretty nice. So all in all, he's a really cool figure, not hard to stand, given that white base, and looks really good. You know, he'll look good in some poses with Batman. Now, I did make an accessory for him, which is kind of like if Batman was trying to escape from inside of Clayface. Now, it is open on one end where you could pretty much place it like on the spikes, or you could lean him back and then put it like on his chest and have the hand, you know, bursting out of Clayface and shooting his grapnel gun. So this is a really cool little accessory. Now, I did sculpt this out and then add detail, and then I glued like some old like energy accessories from different figures, and then I painted it to match the color. And then it is hollow where you can remove the bat arm, and you can even add like a different color or a different arm in there. And I just did that on a whim, just to, you know, have a little bit of fun with them. I have been thinking of adding like either an axe hand or like a ball with spikes, but you really need to remove this hand and then, you know, go from there to build something. But I'll be able to match the color like I did with this burst effect. So I'll be working on that eventually. But all in all, he's pretty nice. A nice big Megafig to add to the collection. And of course, one more Rogue down for the Batman. So that's pretty sweet. But anyway, you guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.